Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we're having the Old Pulteney, 12 years. It's the flagship of the Old Pulteney distillery. And yeah, I've just been to Old Pulteney for, I don't know, probably now 3 years ago, something like that.
So I had been just once up there, and this had been in 1995.
Oh, okay.
And
1995, that was before they were like a single malt distillery.
They were a malt whiskey distillery.
Uh-huh.
And we weren't allowed to have a tour, but I was able to take a picture through the door of the stills.
Mm-hmm.
And before we going into detail, this is 40% ABV and costs 34.90 € here in Central Europe. So it's a medium-priced or low-priced single malt whiskey. And well, as you said, the flagship of the Old Pulteney distillery. And this distillery resides at the port of Wick, it's called. And it's a very, sorry to say, ugly distillery. Granite walls, very thin black from the former times of chimney, dust, everything. So it was a workhorse for the whiskey industry, and I think it belongs to Inverhouse Distillers, which was then afterwards sold to, I don't know, I think a Philippine company. And then they started to deliver a lot of different malts, starting from the turn of the century, I think. And there had been finished whiskies, older whiskies, cask strength whiskies. So a lot of them going on. And this is now the 12-year-old. Yeah.
But I recalled it as it was quite nice. I mean, yeah, the stones and the granite walls were pretty old.
It had been cleaned.
But it had been cleaned. It had a makeover and has a nice entrance gate. And
no.
Oh, you had it?
Okay.
I was there in 2022 or 21, I don't know. And they have a nice like visitor center walk shop.
No visitor center at all. So,
yeah,
so
but they had like
yes.
a kind of a pathway where they had like a really nice history there. And I'm not quite sure because I think they changed a little bit with their houses. So I'm not quite sure if we're talking about the same still house. Because when you came into the like courtyard, there was the I think cask filling store or something, and behind that was the I think still room.
The still room. There's a tale about the still room that they had to cut the still, the wash still, that it fits the narrow or the small room, and therefore the output of the wash still had been more intense than others, and this was quite favorable for the sailors. Because Wick was the port where all the herrings came in, where the sailors were out for weeks on the rough, cold northern sea, and then they come back, and it was told in former times they were sold in whiskey casks. Probably.
Yeah, I think it was once it was the biggest herring port in the world.
More than Monterey and Canary Row?
Yeah, like the biggest. It was like a huge center. It was much bigger than it used to be today. And it's actually kind of a city distillery.
Okay. In 1840, 1870, there were nothing on the west coast.
Yeah, so it's a really, really old port.
Yeah.
So I think that was before the time of Old Pulteney.
Yeah.
But
Old Pulteney was founded in 1826.
1826, yeah. So, but they were really old. They were like there was no steamships and stuff. Yeah. So there were just sail ships and But there would be a nice idea for Old Pulteney, the herring cask finish.
Yeah, they were always salted, and there had been a bottling in memory of an old ship. Bringing in the herring. There had been an old bottling for that.
But it is what's their slogan? by the sea. Here, distilled and matured by the sea, and they are known for their marine notes and a little bit of a salty kind of touch to it.
The warehouses and the distillery, they aren't close to the harbor. It's a little walk up.
Yeah, it's a bit of a walk up. So I mean, they have like, I don't know, it's a stone's throw away from the water. Yeah.
Oh, very good cork. Maltiness.
But I think they do have. I think they do have warm tops, right?
I haven't been behind the stills. No.
Really? Okay. So I don't know how you got into
the
photographing the stills without going through the distillery or without coming from the warm tops. So it must be like the stills must have changed. So you will probably have seen a whole different kind of distillery than I did.
Yeah. And it's that off from all the routes. So the ones who want to reach the top of the mainland, well, yes. But all other tourists, they turn around.
Yeah, the thing is the location is not really... It's for the tourists who want to enjoy the loneliness, the wildlife, the northernness.
Yeah, but there is something different up there. Wick is, well, an old town, but there's a modern part and there are new settlements around it. And there's a big airport, the biggest airport I've ever seen.
Okay.
With helicopters.
Helicopters,
It's a helicopter airport, and they're going out to the oil rigs.
Ah, sure, so, yeah. Oil rigs and probably what was the windmills, offshore windmills.
Today, yeah, probably. Wind generators, not mills.
Wind generator.
Mills you use for grinding the barley. Yeah, it's definitely a malt whiskey, a wonderful malt whiskey. We just had something very special here on the table, which was really an effort to swallow. But this one, yeah, wonderful. So, but I think every whiskey after that would have been very, very nice. So this has a big maltiness together with a maritime note, as they say. Yes. Fresh sea. And in the back, a little bit of fruitiness, fresh fruitiness, citrus notes probably. Yeah.
Very nice to have a marine flavor without the smoke. And this is, I think it's a bit sweetness. You do feel the bourbon cask. It was a bourbon cask matured whiskey, and it feels like a bit of a first fill in there as well. And it has marine notes and maltiness, definitely a single malt here. And for me, it feels like a little bit of that flavor, you know, when you have a bit of that seaweed within sushi.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But only the pure one, the sourness and the rice stuff is just gone. If you just eat it purely, that also has a little bit of a sweet touch to it. Sweet seaweed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A little dry. Spiciness arising, and then remembrance of saltiness. Yeah. Intense aftertaste. Sweetness coming up. Yeah, well balanced. From nose over taste to aftertaste. Very good.
Very nice. But also again, really nice to have a bit of that marine flavor going on with that sweetness going on minus the smokiness. It's just nicely pleasant, a little bit of a honey note, fruity note, a little bit of that seaweed kind of note in there. I like it.
We have to say this is not a typical malty Highland whiskey. No, definitely not. But this marine flavor gives it a completely different touch. But it's definitely a malt whiskey.
But I've heard, I'm not quite sure, but I've heard rumors that this marine flavor does not come from the maturation, but come from the distillation. You can do on the mainland. You can do a marine flavor if you have the cuts and the still right. But I can't prove it.
Yeah, it's something different to the typical Speyside or Highland, and it's very good, balanced in its own kind, having a more intense character, more flavors, a little deeper. In the start, a little dry, then becoming a little sweeter, but not too sweet in the aftertaste. There's a little bit of saltiness, I think. So the aftertaste is long.
Yeah, obviously no salt in it, but this remembrance of that marine flavors just kicks in with, hey, that must be salty.
There are different thoughts about that. We once took a whiskey and put 3 salt crystals in it.
Ooh, okay.
The typical normal salt, so smaller than a mil in diameter of these salt crystals, and then it was untasteable, awful, very salty. So if there's salt in it, it must be very, very few. And this could result from the storage of the casks in those salty air. You typically, if you heat up the sea, then there will be distilled water going up, demineralized water coming up and raining. But if you have a spray from the sea, then you have the salt from the sea, and this lays everywhere as well on the casks, because you have to open the windows of the warehouses, otherwise you will get mold in it, something. And then you can have salt on the cask, and then if the cask matures and breathes through winter and summer, then a little bit of that salt might come into the whiskey.
Yeah, but no crystals. No crystals, just nuances.
Not at all.
But I like it. It's one of these bit of a hidden gem. Old Pulteney is just so far off and not that well known, but really nice.
Yeah, and they changed the bottle itself, the glass. 2 or 3 decades ago. 2 decades ago, I think. And now they as well added a card box, definitely a very massive card box with a lid on it you can open. And
it's a well-made one.
Well made, and the bottle is fixed in it.
Sturdy.
Yeah. Very good. So they invested in this brand, and we will see.
And it stucks well, so I guess you could turn it around. Don't do it if you have a hard floor.
Yeah,
I like it. So if you're interested in the Old Pulteney 12 years, have a look at Whisky.com. You will find it there in the shop for currently $34.90 in Germany, and if in other countries might differ a little bit with the taxes. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.